Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. It is Monday, January 16th, a happy Martin Luther King Day. To all of you at home, I'm Frank Granito, joined in the studio today by Donald Eng. And Don, first of all, we finally got an exciting week of football in the NFL for the playoffs.
We did. It was very good. You know, a lot of good games. Depending on what team you happen to be a fan of, it was a good weekend.
And of course, very exciting for Connecticut football. They had their Walter Camp Awards breakfast this weekend. Congratulations again to all of the all-state players, award winners, and the state champions and teams of the year. That, of course, was Saturday morning up in New England. Now, we do have some more awards to give out here, Don. We have our Week 1 Winter Athletes of the Week presented to you by the Danbury Orthopedics Orthocare Express. And the Week 1 winners for the female athletes was Olivia Parisi of the Fairfield Ward Mustangs basketball team. She scored 14 points to lead all Mustangs when they defeated Staples High 46-37. With that win, Ward picked up their third victory on the season and their first in conference play. Our male athlete of the week winner, another Fairfield Ward Mustang, Anthony Bakari of the Fairfield Co-op hockey team had a hat trick and an assist in the Fairfield 7-3 victory over North Branford in a rematch of last year's Division II state championship on Wednesday. He scored in each period, and the Mustangs would go on to win, powered by his two third-period goals. Fairfield was 4-1 following that win. They are now up to 7-1 on the year. So, Don, Athlete of the Week off to an early start, being dominated by the Fairfield Ward Mustangs. Yeah,
a great performance there all around by the Mustangs, especially that hockey team. We wondered before the season, how would they make the transition to Division I? So far, just fine.
They have benefited from still playing a lot of Division II schools, but they've taken care of business. As you see, a 7-3 win in a championship rematch. By no means is Fairfield Co-op not qualified or underachieving, as you would expect when they made that jump up. It'll be very interesting to see how they translate this through the FCX schedule when they see teams like Greenwich, Darien, New Canaan, and Ridgefield. Of course, Greenwich right now struggling. They are playing against Northwest Catholic today, trailing 7-1 early in the third period.
Actually, I think it's now 8-1.
It is now 8-1, excuse me. Not the start that Greenwich wanted to see to this holiday.
No, certainly not. Also, on a Martin Luther King Day, a couple of other games going on right now. We saw earlier on, we talk about it a little bit later, but Wilton pulling it out. How about that?
We were talking about it last week, Friday night during our game of the week, but we've got the Wilton Warriors and the Fairfield Ward Mustangs on Thursday night here for this week's HAN Game of the Week. The only two remaining undefeated teams in boys basketball in the conference. Wilton's last game before that game was this morning against St. Joe's from Webster Bank Arena. A 62-61 victory. They trailed throughout the entire game, didn't have a lead until late in the third quarter, Don. For Fairfield Ward, they go to West Hill tomorrow night, so we'll see what happens there, but ideally for us, we'd like the Mustangs to come out on top and get that dream matchup.
That is the best case scenario as far as we're concerned.
But let's get to our Week 2 nominees now for Athlete of the Week. And Don, as my mother said, ladies first.
Well, our first nominee is Ariana Gehrig, Staples girls basketball. Gehrig, the freshman center for the Wreckers, scored 19 points, including 6 of her team's 8 points in overtime to lead Staples to a 45-44 win in overtime over Wilton last Tuesday. Your next nominee, Claudia Tucci. Trumbull girls basketball scored a game-high 20 points as Trumbull beat Staples 54-31 and improved its record to 10-0 on the season. 2 days earlier, Tucci had 15 points to lead the Eagles past McMahon 55-22. Cara Fahey of New Canaan girls hockey, a sophomore, made 29 saves as the Rams played to a 2-2 overtime tie with the Greenwich Cardinals last Wednesday at the Darien Ice House. Fahey kept the Cardinals off the board for the final 27-plus minutes, allowing New Canaan to erase a 2-0 deficit and forge the deadlock. Jessica Ware of Greenwich Girls Ice Hockey is your next nominee. She had 32 saves in that Cardinals 2-2 tie with New Canaan. She had a shutout for the first 37 minutes and then kept the Rams off the scoreboard in the overtime session. Finally, we have Carolyn Kernal of Ridgefield Girls Basketball. She had a double-double as the Tigers defeated Danbury 59-43 on Tuesday to improve to 8-1 on the season and 6-1 in conference. Her night included a career-high 21 points and 12 rebounds. So those are your nominees for the girls. For the boys, we head back to Frank.
Thank you, Dom. We start with the Wilton boys basketball team and sophomore Nick Cronenberg. The guard scored 19 points on 7 of 11 shooting, hitting 5 for 8 from three-point range in the Wilton boys basketball team 77-41 win over Staples. That improved the Warriors to 7-0 on the season and remaining one of the 2 undefeated teams in the FCAC. J.J. Fall of the Trumbull boys basketball team knocked down a baseline jumper at the buzzer to lift the Eagles to a 52-50 road win over Staples High. Fall scored all 19 of his points in the second half, shooting 7 of 8 from the floor. Eagles now 8-1 on the year and tied for the lead in the FCX West Division. Mateo Van Wees of the Ridgefield hockey team scored 4 of Ridgefield's 5 goals in the Tigers' 5-1 win over Greenwich last Tuesday. His performance included 1 goal in the first period to open the scoring, 2 in the third to put that game away. He also scored a goal in their 5-1 win over Glastonbury on Saturday. Alex Preston, the center for the Darien basketball team, the 6'7" big man, scored 20 points in the Blue Wave 66-59 victory over Trinity Catholic and added 17 points in a 55-43 win over Brian McMahon. Darien has now won 4 straight, including handing Trumbull and Trinity Catholic their first losses of the season. And finally, New Canaan junior Quinn McMahon of the boys hockey team netted his first career goal and hat trick last week in an 8-0 win for the Rams over Trinity Catholic. The Rams also beat the number 3 team in Connecticut, Northwest Catholic, 5-3 Friday night in a matchup of the 2 and 3 teams to improve to 6-1 on the season. Those are your nominees for the male and female athletes of the week. Remember, you can go online to HAN.network to vote. It's on our Twitter page as well. Don, I really liked, it was a great week across the board. We have 10 nominees, much more than we're used to, but all very well deserving. It should be a lot. We expect to see big numbers again in the voting this week.
Yeah, and I always love to see when you get these big numbers, when people really get involved. And also I also like to see when you see the votes kind of evenly distributed. People not necessarily voting for someone that because they go to the same school or live in the same town. They appear to really take their votes seriously, and I really enjoy that.
Big numbers last week. We hope to see much of the same. Don, let's take our first break. When we get back, we're going to take a look at our game of the week from Friday night in an FCAC rematch between the Danbury Hatters and the West Hill Vikings. We'll have highlights and analysis coming up right after this on the HAN Network.
Want a new experience in car buying? No aggravation, no confrontation, just answers to all your questions. Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Car buying the way you want it to be. With one of the largest selections of new 2- and 4-door Jeep Wranglers available, we are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Located in Fairfield, Connecticut, we're easy to get to. Just 2.5 miles off the Merritt Parkway, exit 44 via Route 58 South. Save thousands right now during the Start Something New sales event, now through January 31st.
At the Milford Bank, we offer an extensive selection of lending products and services to meet virtually any need. Submit your application online in our Mortgage Web Center. Start to finish, you can apply for a loan in as little as 10 minutes. Our knowledgeable and helpful staff are available to meet with you at your convenience. To learn more about what we can do for you, stop by one of our Milford Bank offices or visit us at milfordbank.com. The Milford Bank, always there. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Well, there's still a bite out on the water. Most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
It's all about meeting goals this year, and Trinity CrossFit of Ridgefield has experienced trainers, top-of-the-line equipment, and a newly renovated space to help get you there. Offering more classes per day than any other CrossFit gyms in the area, we cater to all fitness levels. Our coaches have a combined 10 years of experience in CrossFit, and as competitors themselves, Trinity coaches can get you ready for competition in 2017. Stop by our grand opening bash on Saturday, January 14th at 9 a.m. Visit our convenient location on Route 7, Danbury Road, or find out more at trinitycrossfit.com.
Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break. If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN Network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network, and we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Back on the HAN Network with Nutmeg Sports for Eng Granito and Donald Eng. And Don, we look now at our game of the week from Friday night in an FCX championship rematch between the Danbury Hatters and the West Hill Vikings. Looking to avenge last season's 72-61 championship loss, the Hatters turned up the pressure defensively early on, limiting the Vikings to only 5 first-quarter points on their way to a 46-37 victory. And Dom, what stood out to me was the first quarter was when Marcus Fox, the senior captain, starter for the Hatters, gets injured. West Hill comes out trailing by 7. Really had an opportunity to capitalize. The rest of the game only get outscored by 2 points. It was 34-32 in favor of the Hatters after that. So early season struggles, early game struggles have really been the biggest concern for the Vikings right now.
Right, and I also thought that that the pace of play, a 46-37 game, I thought that would actually favor West Hill. I kind of expected Danbury to really utilize their some athleticism and try and get the game played at a much faster pace. West Hill, I thought, got the game they needed and still just couldn't quite get it done against Danbury. And again, we saw it. We said it before the game, and it bears repeating now. Free throw shooting really hurt the Vikings.
And it's the second game in a row. It cost them against Norwalk in that overtime loss the game before where they couldn't buy one down the stretch. But this is a West Hill team who, they lost to Danbury in the regular season last year, mind you, and it was trailing 20-5 after the first quarter in that game. So we know they're capable of turning it around. They can still get into the tournament if they get hot at the right time, but turnovers seem to be a huge issue. Defensively, they're struggling on the glass, and free throw shooting is abysmal if we're being generous. They're not trending or showing signs of being a legit playoff team in the FCX.
No, I mean, it's it's clear what they have to work on, and the question is, can they improve in any of those areas enough in time for the tournament?
Let's take a look at the highlights, and when we come out of it, we'll break down why the Danbury Hatters are trending in the right direction as we look at the 46-39 victory for the Hatters. It is Friday night in Fairfield County, which means it is time for high school hoops right here on the HAN Network. Friday night in Fairfield County, which means it is time for high school hoops right here on the HAN Network. And now Javon Hernandez to run in transition. Burton going into the lane. No good. Second effort. Yes, got it, and the foul.
Great job by Denali Burton. If the Hatters picked up their head, they had Scalzo wide open down low.
Rivers going to spot up the three, and he knocks it down. Taking advantage of Javon Hernandez on the bench when Jake Dardis really did heat up from behind the three-point line.
He's a prolific three-point shooter, Frank.
Still a lot of time here in this fourth quarter, but West Hill Vikings, I like the way they've come out here to start this fourth quarter.
Open look for three, and the junior Jordan Brown knocks that one down.
His first 2 points of the game, but he's been hustling all game long. Great steal there.
Javon Hernandez, another three.
What a big three-pointer there by Javon. And a disappointing night for West Hill. They just couldn't finish. Great job by the Hatters, though. You talk about guys coming off the bench and coming up clutch.
Final score, 46 for Danbury, 37 for West Hill. So, Don, you see again, we're talking about a Danbury Hatters team that has not been healthy yet this season. They're still sitting at 7-2, 4-1. They're atop the FCX West Division, but they're missing Jordan Aline, one of their seniors who was out due to illness. Marcus Fox, a senior captain, went down on the second possession. So Denali Burton and Javon Hernandez, the only Hatters who scored in double digits, two sophomores that stepped up with 11 and 10 respectively. Then you had Jordan Brown, a junior off the bench who played in the JV game right before, came in and hit a couple of timely threes where West Hill had it down to a 2-point game, a 3-point game. It was tied at one point. So the depth of Danbury right now really makes them a legit contender in the conference.
Well, and because Danbury had every excuse to just kind of to lose the game, and yet still managed to dig deep and get it done. Missing starters, having another starter get injured early in the game, and then trying to hold on to the lead, but then here comes West Hill creeping back into it, finally tying up the game. And when West Hill tied that game, I thought, okay, this is where they're going to pull ahead a little bit, and valiant effort from Danbury, but West Hill's probably got just too much on this day. And then, of course, here come the Hatters again. Pulling away for the win. So a great performance all around. You only wonder what this team can be once you have a full team.
And they know it too. We spoke with Marcus Fox a little bit before the game, and he said, we're still nowhere near healthy. We still haven't played a game with our full roster yet. And that's got to bode very well for the Hatters too when you think about they've got key players who are getting extra rest, will not be as worn down when you get into that vigorous FCX tournament, where it just turns into a heavyweight fight that you've got to go all 15 rounds through.
And how about that? As you mentioned with the starters getting their rest. And how about the JV player coming off the bench? Hey, let's play two. It's like an Ernie Banks type basketball game. It
was a huge, huge win for the Hatters. They're going to go on the road now and face a very tough Darien team who, quietly going about their business, they are in second place in the East Division behind only Wilton Ward, who we know are undefeated, but 4-1 on the season in conference with wins over Trumbull, Trinity, and McMahon, all who started the year at least 4-0. They handed Trumbull and Trinity their first losses. They've arguably got the best big man in the league right now, and he's playing so well, is Alex Preston, the 6-foot center for the Wave.
Yeah, the Darien really with really one of the few true big men you see. I mean, a lot of teams have these 6'4", 6'5" swing man and wing type players, but a real low post big man is kind of a rarity in modern high school basketball, and something that a lot of teams are going to struggle to defend.
And it's a very good test for Darien too to put their athletic ability on display and see where they rank, because they will not have seen guards quite like they're going to get here from Danbury. For West Hill, who falls to 1-3 in the FCAC after consecutive losses, they now play host to Fairfield Ward on Tuesday night. And similar to what we saw with Norwalk last week when West Hill came to town, this is a borderline save your season kind of game for the Vikings right now. They desperately need a win, but it's a very tall task against the undefeated Ward Mustangs. Yeah, Ward has really impressed me throughout the season, and as I mentioned earlier, with true big men, I don't think Ward starts a player over about 6'2" for the Mustangs. So just team play. I mean, they're led in rebounding by a guy that's 5'11". So certainly team play, share the ball. That's the key for the Mustangs. C.J. Brown led the scoring for the Vikings. He led all scorers in the game. He finished with 13 points. After that, there was no one over 6 for West Hill, so a lack of scoring clearly an issue for the Vikings. Let's take one more breakdown. When we get back, we'll give you a recap from the rest of the weekend in the FCAC, and we'll look ahead to tonight's game in the latest installment of the Battle for Exit 37 between New Canaan and Darien and girls hockey.
At In Sports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, In Sports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Sign up now for In Sports High School Passing League. These 7-on-7 teams formed by area high schools offer a great way for football players to stay sharp in the off-season. 3 weekly 6-week sessions will be offered from December 1st through January 5th, January 12th through February 16th, and February 23rd through March 30th. For more information, visit insportscenter.com. Like and follow us on Facebook.
Discover a world of wellness in the heart of New Canaan. Halo Studios, New Canaan's first collaborative wellness center, offers you the freedom to choose from the best and latest health, fitness, and wellness options. Inside Halo Studios, you'll find all the wellness experts you need at places like Halo Fitness, Priority Wellness, and Sama Yoga Center. Come by for a free wellness assessment, open 7 days a week at 45 Grove Street. For more information, visit halostudios.com or call 203-594-9909. Have a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Basketball, hockey, skiing, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
Why cook it all this holiday? Avoid the stress of holiday planning and let your friends at Walter Stewart's in New Canaan do the heavy lifting. Whether you're looking to fill in with a few crowd-pleasing sides or you want us to prepare your whole feast, from cranberry sauce to pumpkin pie, we're ready to simplify your holiday. Place your order from the right way, relaxing. Our fresh prepared holiday meals to go are designed with your busy schedule in mind. Visit us at stewartsmarket.com or at 229 Elm Street, New Canaan.
Are you ready for winter? Ski and Sport has everything you need to be fully outfitted for the season. A family-owned and operated business with over 40 years of experience, Ski and Sport's 3 convenient locations in Fairfield County offer top-quality, high-fashion ski and winter wear. In addition to clothing for men, women, and children, we also offer seasonal rentals for the entire family. Stop by our stores on 1 Ethan Allen Highway in Ridgefield, 877 Post Road East in Westport, and at 110 Main Street in New Canaan. Or visit us at skiandsport.net.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
Back on the HAN Network, happy Martin Luther King Day again. Frank Granito and Donald Eng. Don, let's go through the boys basketball scores going back to Friday night around the league. Trinity, a 30-point winner, 74-44 over Norwalk. McMahon over Waterford in an out-of-conference game, 87-76. Stanford, 48-39. The boys in the Black Knights able to defeat their former head coach against New Canaan with Danny Melzer there. Ludlow, 51-39 winner over Ridgefield Don, and that game stands out to me. The Ridgefield Tigers desperately missing Brendan McNamara right now and are struggling to find scoring with their top player down.
Yeah, no question about it there. When you lose a player like that, the whole team has to kind of come together. And Ludlow, really, an impressive performance.
It was a big win for the Falcons and another one of those save your season games. Trumbull with the 52-50 win over Staples on the buzzer beater from J.J. Full, one of our Athlete of the Week nominees. St. Joe's 60, Greenwich 49. Those were all the games on 40. And, of course, this morning, Wilton able to hold on and escape with the 62-61 victory over St. Joe's.
Yeah, I haven't seen the highlights of that game yet, but it sounds like the last few seconds were pretty exciting there with offensive fouls and free throws. So good win for the Warriors.
Very, very frantic. And the last I saw, St. Joe's took over possession with 30 seconds to go. It called a timeout and missed their final shot attempt to win the game. Dom, why don't you take us through the girls' basketball scores from last Friday night?
Right, from Friday we had Ward beating Central 63-23. Danbury 55-42 over West Hill. Norwalk beats Trinity 78-36. Ridgefield a 60-43 winner over Ludlow. Trumbull 54-31 over Staples. And then the game of the night, Greenwich 43, St. Joseph 40. That game obviously going into overtime.
Big win for the Lady Cars, who continue to stay hot early on this season. In boys hockey, a couple of games moved to Friday night in fear for the weather. That was New Canaan, a 5-3 winner over Northwest Catholic in a game featuring the number 2 and number 3 teams in the state. Ridgefield rolls over Trinity Catholic 8-1. Darien able to ice SWS with a 5-0 shutout on Saturday afternoon. West Hill Stanford, a great win, 3-2 over South Windsor in a big Division III game. St. Joe's 8-3 over Norwalk McMahon. Fairfield holds off Trumbull 2-1. Ridgefield on a doubleheader then with a 5-1 win over Glastonbury Saturday. And earlier today, Don, as we saw at Northwest Catholic, a 9-2 win over Greenwich in a game that, from our understanding, turned a little bit ugly. A Greenwich player was ejected. Not sure who it was yet. We'll have more on that story tomorrow. And we just got an update from up at Xavier. The New Canaan Rams have gotten a goal from senior transfer Anton Adding from Sweden. They lead Xavier 1-0. And a couple of girls' hockey scores to go over as well here.
Yeah, we had Greenwich beating Simsbury 1-0. Really a very big win for the Cardinals. And then Fairfield 6-0 over Branford. So those were your 2 girls hockey scores from the weekend.
And that brings us to tonight's game. You've got New Canaan and Darien in girls ice hockey, the first of 2 meetings this season for the Rams and Blue Wave. Last year, the Blue Wave 3-0 against New Canaan, including a 2-0 victory in the FCX championship. A whole new cast of characters on both sides when you think about it. Really graduating arguably 2 of their most complete and most accomplished classes did both these programs. They're both right now chasing Greenwich. Darien lost to Greenwich earlier in the year, Don. New Canaan coming off that big 2-2 tie last week. And maybe if you're comparing scores, you get the sense, okay, New Canaan's got a little bit of an advantage, but something about this rivalry right now, just Darien holds that mental edge. And the mind game against New Canaan, does that carry over tonight?
Well, first of all, I don't know that it necessarily carries over. I do kind of think, Darien certainly can win the game, but I always think to myself, when you have one team that kind of has the edge in a rivalry, I always think to myself, well, is it a mental edge, or is it just that one team is just slightly better than the other? As you mentioned, Darien right now with a record of 4-3, 3-1 in the conference. New Canaan 2-2-1, but 2-0-1 in conference. And as you mentioned, everyone chasing Greenwich. So, an excellent game tonight. We're really going to get a much better handle on where these 2 teams stand.
And of course, the Greenwich win over Simsbury, that much bigger too. It's a statement win not only within the conference, but around the state with how well teams up north have been playing. For me, the 2 big players in this game, Don, are going to be Cara Fahey, playing in her 6th game now as a goalie, as a hockey player, mind you, for the Rams, versus Emily Giannunzio, who's been the Darien starting goalie now for 3 years. It's a big experience margin there between the 2, and I think Giannunzio has that edge and can steal games for the Wave, not only tonight, but down the stretch when you get to the postseason as well. Right now, these 2 teams, if the season finishes the way it looks, are playing in the semifinals, and only one of them goes to Terry Connors for the FCX championship.
Yeah, and that is just a remarkable stat. It just every time we talk about it, I'm amazed by it. A first year hockey player starting for one of the top programs in the state. So just an amazing accomplishment. You've got to give the edge to Darien as far as the goaltending goes, because experience in big games is so crucial. But it just New Canaan continues to surprise me.
And they've got scoring depth up front. We'll be able to see if Gianna Bruno is back after suffering an injury late in that game against Greenwich. But it should be a lot of fun. It always is when the Rams and Blue Wave get together. That's going to do it for today's show. Don, we're back here same time tomorrow. We'll have highlights, and of course, I look forward to some girls hoops, which makes its return to the network tomorrow night.
Big week.
Should be a lot of fun. For Don Eng, I'm Frank Granito. We'll see you tonight, 6:30 pregame show, 6:40 puck drop, and of course, tomorrow morning, coffee break at 11. And the drive with the news at 12:30 before Nutmeg Sports right here at 2 o'clock.